Étienne Tshisekedi, W.A. Mulumba, was born on December 14, 1932 in Luluabourg in the Belgium Congo, now the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Tshisekedi grew up in a modest family. In 1960, the year the Belgium Congo became independent, he was 28. In the same year, he became the first Congolese student in his country to graduate from law school. 5 years later, he began his career in government in 1965 when General Joseph-Désiré Mobutu took over the country and renamed it Zaire. President Mobutu ruled Zaire from 1965 until he was ousted in 1997. In 1965, Tshisekedi accepted the post of Interior Ministry in the Mobutu administration. He helped rewrite Congo's constitution in 1967, which was ratified in 1970 in order to support the new regime and its unique party authorization. During these years, he did not oppose the political repression happening in Zaire, including the murder of Patrice Lumumba, the first head of government of independent Congo, on 17 January 1961. Nor did he fight repression or executions such as the hanging of the Pentecost martyrs in 1966 because of their politics. At the beginning of the 1980s, Tshisekedi became an opponent of President Mobutu. He resigned from the government and signed an open letter with other deputies, criticizing the absence of democracy, the personalization of the power made by Mobutu, and the interdiction of opposition parties. This letter, published on 1 November 1980, helped initiate the UDPS, Union for Democracy and Social Progress, which soon became the main opposition party in Zaire. Tshisekedi's actions caused him to face the possibility of arrest and incarceration by the Mobutu government. In the face of growing political crisis and instability in Zaire, Mobutu designated Tshisekedi prime minister twice in order to win over opponents. Tshisekedi served as prime minister a bit more than 1 month in 1991 and 3 months in 1992. He also served as prime minister in the last few days of Mobutu's rule in April 1997. The revolutionary forces under Laurent Désiré Kabila that took power in Kinshasa in May 1997 ended Mobutu's rule and almost immediately renamed Zaire the Democratic Republic of Congo. After this change, Tshisekedi remained in the opposition now against the new ruler, Laurent Désiré Kabila, father, and his son and successor, Joseph Kabila until 2014 when illness forced him to stop his political activities. Etienne Tshisekedi died on February 1, 2017 at 84 years in a hospital in Brussels, Belgium, because of a pulmonary embolism. Etienne Tshisekedi was a Congolese politician and the leader of the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, UDPS, the main opposing political party in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. A longtime opposition leader, he served as prime minister of the country, then called Zaire, on 3 brief occasions, in 1991, 1992-1993, and 1997. Tshisekedi was the main Congolese opposition leader for decades. Although he served in the government of dictator Mobutu Sese Seko in various positions, he also led the campaign against Mobutu, and was one of few politicians who challenged the dictator. Tshisekedi and his UDPS party boycotted the 2006 elections organized in Congo on claims that elections were fraudulent and were systematically rigged in advance. He was a candidate for president of Congo in the 2011 elections that many national and international observers, notably the Carter Center, have said lacked credibility and transparency. Having officially lost to incumbent Joseph Kabila, Tshisekedi nevertheless declared himself the elected president of Congo. Policemen and Kabila's presidential guards were subsequently stationed at every corner that gives entrance to Tshisekedi's residence, placing him under unofficial house arrest. His son Felix became president in 2019. In 1932, Étienne Tshisekedi, son of Alexis Mulumba and his wife Agnes Kabena, was born in Luluabourg, Belgian Congo, now called Kananga, Kasai Occidental, Democratic Republic of the Congo. Ethnically, he was a member of the Luba people. Tshisekedi attended primary school at Kabaluanda, West Kasai, and obtained a doctorate diploma in 1961 at the Lavanium University School of Law in Leopoldville, now Kinshasa. He was the first Congolese to ever get a doctorate diploma in law. Tshisekedi's career was intertwined with the political history of his country. Congo won independence in 1960 from Belgium. Advisor to Patrice Lumumba of the movement National Congolese, MNC, Tshisekedi left the MNC to follow Albert Kalonji on his secessionist adventure in Kasai, acting as Minister of Justice in the newly autonomous state of South Kasai. On January 3, 1961, President Joseph Kasavubu appointed Tshisekedi Director General of the National School of Law and Administration. In November 1965, Tshisekedi took part in the second Mobutu coup, which led to the dismissal of President Kasavubu and his Prime Minister Kimba. Tshisekedi approved the execution of Kimba and his companions on the day of Pentecost, June 2, 1966. He was a high-ranking member of the various governments formed by dictator Mobutu Sese Seko, who was president from 1965 to 1997. Tshisekedi helped amend the Congolese constitution in 1967. After the second coup of Mobutu, in 1965, Tshisekedi held ministerial positions. As such, Tshisekedi was instrumental in managing the country, allegedly based on the misappropriation of public funds and neutralization of all opposition. Tshisekedi remained in the Central Committee of the Popular Movement of the Revolution, Mouvement Populaire de la Révolution, MPR, until the early 1980s. Relations with Mobutu ruptured around 1980, and Tshisekedi was removed from Mobutu's government. At that time, Tshisekedi formed the country's first opposition party, the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, UDPS, to counter the ruling MPR. Tshisekedi thus became the main voice for opponents of the dictatorship, in the country that was then called Zaire. That status enabled him to mobilize public opinion and the international community, and he continued advocating for change during Mobutu's tenure. In 1980, Tshisekedi was thrown in prison for criticism of Mobutu's repressive regime. He was imprisoned numerous times by Mobutu's government. In 1989, during Mobutu's rule, several cases of his detention were described as unlawful by the United Nations Human Rights Committee. On February 15, 1982, Tshisekedi co-founded the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, UDPS. The party remains popular in Congo's capital Kinshasa, the two Kasai and Basse-Congo provinces as well as other provinces, with its main goal being a nonviolent change to democratic rule. According to Kapanga, vice president of the MPR, Mobutu kept a number of Congolese tribes happy through the sharing of money with the tribe's power brokers. Under Mobutu's regime, Apanat Posha, Secretary General of the MPR, tried delivering money to Tshisekedi in the middle of the night, but Tshisekedi refused it. Mobutu tried and failed on several occasions to persuade Tshisekedi to take the money. With the country in economic turmoil in the early 1990s, partly due to Mobutu's loss of Western support after the Cold War, Mobutu bowed to pressure and promised a transition to multi-party democracy. Tshisekedi, who was Mobutu's most determined and popular rival, became prime minister on 3 separate occasions. The first lasted only 1 month, September 29, 1991 to November 1, 1991, before Mobutu sacked him, and the second only 7 months, August 15, 1992 to March 18, 1993. Both times, Tshisekedi asserted that he was prevented from functioning properly by Mobutu. The third term, while Laurent Désiré Kabila's rebel forces were marching on Kinshasa, lasted only a week, April 2, 1997 to April 9, 1997, and was again ended by Mobutu's lack of cooperation. A month later Laurent Kabila overthrew Mobutu, in connection with the First Congo War. Laurent Kabila ruled by decree and banned party politics until general elections planned for 1999. In 1998, a constitutional committee drew up a list of 250 people who would not be allowed to run for president, including Tshisekedi. He was sent into internal exile in February 1998, after he was accused of violating the ban on party politics. President Laurent Kabila was assassinated in 2001, and was succeeded 10 days later by his son, Joseph Kabila. Tshisekedi refused to enter the government of Joseph Kabila, or the previous government of his father, and likened them to Mobutu. In the run-up to the 2006 national elections, Tshisekedi decided to boycott the electoral process and the constitutional referendum because he believed they were rigged in advance. Joseph Kabila won the presidential election. Tshisekedi considered the elections of 2006 to be a masquerade and claimed that Kabila's election was decided in advance by influential people outside Congo. Kabila defeated Jean-Pierre Bemba, with Tshisekedi on the sidelines. At a UDPS meeting in April 2009, the party indicated that it would participate in the 2011 election, and asked that Tshisekedi be their presidential candidate. He officially confirmed his candidacy in December 2010 at a congress of his party in Kinshasa, which was the first official party congress since the party formed in 1982. In August 2011, Tshisekedi sought to negotiate with other opposition parties to form a joint effort against incumbent Joseph Kabila. This is Tshisekedi's first bid for the presidency since forming the country's first opposition party in 1982. Candidates campaigned relatively freely, and Tshisekedi held large rallies. But neither candidate was prepared to admit defeat. Tshisekedi pointed not only to lack of democracy, but also lack of water and electricity, as reasons to elect him. He said that a vote for him would be a vote for a 30-year fight to uphold the rule of law and good governance in Congo. Tshisekedi was supported by about 80 political parties, but he had adversaries within the opposition, such as Vital Kamerhe, Nzanga Mobutu, son of the former dictator, and Senate President Kengo Wa Dondo. Tshisekedi said that none of them had been in the opposition long enough to be credible. This time around, Bemba, the 2006 presidential candidate, was sidelined, on trial at the International Criminal Court in The Hague for alleged war crimes in 2002 to 2003. The election was held on November 28, 2011. Many national and international observers, notably the Carter Center, said the election was marred with serious irregularities and lacked credibility and transparency. Tshisekedi rejected the results announced by the CENI, the body responsible for the organization of elections, saying that they did not reflect the will of the people, and declared himself the elected president of Congo. Tshisekedi held a private inauguration ceremony after police used tear gas to disperse a public inauguration. Vital Kamerhe, a former ally of President Kabila, rejected the results announced by the CENI and said that Tshisekedi had actually won the election. Several other opposition candidates recognized Tshisekedi as the victor, and called for the election to be annulled. In addition to the Carter Center, an observer mission from the European Union noted lack of transparency, and the Archbishop of Kinshasa, Cardinal Laurent Monsengwo Passigna claimed that the results announced by the CENI did not reflect the will of the people. These and other observations compromised the integrity of the presidential election, according to the Carter Center. MONUSCO, the peacekeeping mission of the United Nations, also voiced concern about the results. The election result was confirmed by the Supreme Court of the Democratic Republic of Congo. A day after holding a hearing of the Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee on African Affairs on Governance in the DRC, Senators Chris Coons, D. Dell, and Johnny Isaacson, RGA, of the United States Senate expressed deep concern about the ruling of the Congolese Supreme Court. Then, on December 20, 2011, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton expressed serious disappointment with the Congolese Supreme Court decision. Tshisekedi urged the armed forces to disobey Kabila, and added that he would offer a great prize to anyone who captured President Joseph Kabila. Tshisekedi's party headquarters was burglarized after his inauguration. Tshisekedi was said to be under house arrest. The rebel March 23 movement, which captured the city of Goma in November 2012, listed the release of Tshisekedi as one of their demands and claimed to be willing to leave the provincial capital of North Kivu if he was granted freedom of movement, among other things. Amidst rumors of serious health problems, Tshisekedi was flown to Belgium for treatment on August 16, 2014. Responding to the rumors about his condition, his party said that he was not seriously ill. On January 9, 2016, Tshisekedi, who was still in Brussels and apparently still ill, released a video message in which he vowed that he would soon be among you so we can unite our efforts to win. Observers noted that the opposition leader seemed frail and had trouble speaking. He finally returned to Congo on July 27, 2016 and was greeted by a massive crowd of supporters upon arrival at the airport in Kinshasa. At a massive rally in Kinshasa on July 31, Tshisekedi demanded that elections proceed on schedule before the end of 2016, contrary to suggestions from the authorities that a delay might be necessary, allowing Kabila to remain in office. On January 24, 2017, Tshisekedi left the DRC to travel to Belgium for medical treatment. The 84-year-old died a week later on February 1 in Brussels. Étienne Tshisekedi was Congolese opposition leader who founded, 1982, the country's first opposition party and worked against the successive presidents Mobutu Sese Seko, Laurent Kabila and Joseph Kabila. When Mobutu seized power in 1965, Tshisekedi was a supporter, and he served in Mobutu's government. The two clashed frequently, however, and Tshisekedi was arrested and tortured between stints in the cabinet until he placed himself unambiguously in opposition with the founding of the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, UDPS. In the early 1990s Mobutu, under international pressure, agreed to steps that were intended to lead his country, then called Zaire, to multi-party democracy. One such step was the appointment of Tshisekedi as prime minister. Tshisekedi held that post several times but in each instance for only a few months. He remained a major opposition figure in 1997 when Laurent Kabila ousted Mobutu and in 2001 when Kabila was assassinated and replaced by his son, Joseph. Tshisekedi ran for president against Kabila in 2011 but lost in a process that was widely viewed as flawed. Tshisekedi and his followers did not accept the results and regarded Tshisekedi as the legitimate president. Under the country's 2006 constitution, Kabila's term of office ended in December 2016, and he was not eligible for re-election. Elections did not take place in 2016, however. Tshisekedi, who commanded a large and loyal following, was instrumental in persuading Kabila to agree to a process that would allow elections to take place in 2017, and Tshisekedi had been slated to head an oversight committee tasked with monitoring the carrying out of that agreement. Thank you for watching this video.